Hello everyone. This is the land I've been working on. So we have two ponds and the road running through the center here. This is on to the right is our fire pond, and then you can see in red the road again. Um, this is the area that we're really focusing on, that we've identified as an easy to make fire break. So now we're looking north. This is on the landing at the on the sort of highest elevation. It was created maybe 80 years ago during some kind of logging operation. There was some earth moved here, and so we see a sort of mixed forest, but primarily Douglas fir. And so we've been thinning this out and taking off lower branches. Here's one of the oldest ones. There's also several oaks in here and it transitions into a more predominantly sort of oak, what I would think of as oak savanna, which we don't have much of. We're at a higher elevation at 2,900 feet, so it's a little bit of an interesting transitional forest. We have here some sugar pine, the ubiquitous manzanita, and several types of ceanothus. So this is an area, again, zooming here, we're looking at an area that we haven't worked over yet. In the future, I'd like to make a better effort to do before and after documentation. It can be, I think, a lot more informative. So this you can see some dead wood in here. There's a lot of sort of some vines. This this is easily sort of broken off of the manzanita, or in some cases what I'm calling here mountain mahogany, which has another name. It's similar to what you might call chaparral or ceanothus. Those are all different things, but they sort of look similar. So I'm in this area. There's sort of all three going on, and we're looking at removing a lot of the dead wood. In this case, we're pulling it out to the road, and we're gonna either chip that or bring it off. We have an area where we're collecting a lot of material and trying to sort of smash that and cover it with earth again to make a kind of hugel. This area here, you can see there's a meadow. This is Flora helping out. We're looking at this this little meadowed area, which I think was probably aided by some traditional fire practices in the past. It seems like an area where possibly there were some groves of oak trees tended here, and now we're against this, what we call little rock here. This is an outcropping that sort of connects real close to our access road, and then at the base around to our right where I'm walking, there's the creek, and then another big meadow reaching up to my parents' house and the greenhouse. And so we thought that this was an already sort of thinnish area compared to many that we could easily address some of the fuel reduction in, and think about maybe, we had to remove a bunch of old barbed wire in here, old things that we've been trying to get to. So looking over here, we're looking at my parents' house, and here we are now below. Another area we've worked over, or continuing, up in here, pulling out all those sort of dead underwood from large manzanita groves. This was a huge thicket of sort of this was a road, there's a landing, another landing here created uh, that sort of caused this cascade of dirt to create the steeper hill here that then sort of the manzanita ends up sort of cascading, falling down the hillsides. So there's also several dead snags in here and two oak trees and this large snag that I just looked up at, which we're going to let come down in its own time. Took out quite a lot in here. It's hard to tell. And looking up above the road now at some forest that just has been calling out for some pretty pretty simple thinning, I would say. I'm taking out a lot of sort of these smaller, deformed, or crooked, or sort of really tightly packed Douglas fir trees, and taking off their lower branches that are already dead in many cases. Trying to pile them up on the contour of the hillside here, stacking them behind the remaining trees, and as well the cutaway stumps from the ones I've removed. I was using them to sort of hold back branches, you can see there, and kind of create a little step in the landscape that would ideally hold back more dead leaves next fall, and could kind of create maybe a little more water retention and collect mulch. So here I've taken off all the lower branches, sort of tried to prioritize a couple of the larger trees in here. There's several live oak trees coming up in here that were really hung over, and I actually prize those for mushroom logs, so or turning into wood chips for mushroom cultivation. Here we are, another area looking. This is looking east, back towards where we were, and now panning into our sort of common big garden area. And there's this is the road. Along here we worked on both sides here quite extensively in the last 2 years. Coming in multiple passes. Each time we take a little bit more, sort of observe what we've done. Not trying to be too dramatic at once. We have multiple land partners, and so everyone's kind of got their own feeling about what's appropriate, and so it's been quite the process of deliberating, and some people do a little too much, maybe a little too little over here, and we find a balance, and try and suggest things to each other, and it's been a good process. Here is an example. We took down this large Douglas fir, since it was growing right up through the center of this oak tree. Took off a lot of its lower branches here and really spread them out. So you can see the snow did a good job of packing them down here. It'll create a nice layer, an extra couple inches, especially in the mix of oak and Douglas fir. The oak big leaves kind of lay down on top of the branches when you spread them out like this, and create this nice extra mulch layer. This is all we're still experimenting to see, what we want to have plants coming up through these branches. We don't want to create some kind of, too heavy of a mulch here. This is a natural pond that fills and empties each year. This is just looking up the hill again, back at the road. You can see fairly nice and open, now we're up above the pond, into an area that we would hope to do a little work in. Some dead trees fallen over, um, several lower branches. All in all, just needs some walking through, some observation, you know, trying to figure out, you know, what what wants to be thinned, what's what's not going to withstand the next snow, really heavy, wet snow, and trying to think about, also preserving certain things like poison oak is, a good bird food. So not always a great idea to attack it, especially because it fights back. Here we are. This is, so we've done several passes through here, and so that's a result of sort of, um, multiple people working at different times and sort of layering their efforts and deciding which to keep, what was worth going after, and hopefully one day we'll be ready and confident enough to attempt to prescribe to burn. All right, thank you for watching.